Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman by heading over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
Okie doke.
Okay.
Are we all pumped? Is everybody pumped up? Is everybody filled?
Yeah, you know we're
Yeah,
pumped,
y'all-
man. You know
Are
we're
we
pumped.
filled?
Are you filled?
Are we
You
filled?
asked it wrong. I was
That's
excited.
what pumped means,
Now I'm
right?
not.
You getting pumped full of something?
Yeah, you
That's
are
what being
full.
pumped
You're
means.
inflated.
Yeah. You're
swelling.
We're swelling
Yeah.
with delicious hype goo.
Mhm.
See that you tipped it. That's the question, though. Are you using it pumped as in connotes full of air or cum? And
Like
clearly you
sperm.
meant
Yeah,
cum.
always.
Yeah, it's like
if
sperm.
you ask the question, do they mean air or do they mean cum? We always mean cum.
Yeah.
I think when you say like I'm pumped, like I'm hype, I think of the shoes. Were those shoes that you pumped up full of cum?
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's why. But
It's
I
all
had the
coming
Shaq
together.
version, so I just assumed like my soles were
That's
loaded
Shaq's-
with Shaq's cum.
Seed. Yeah.
That's why I was
That's
able
what
to.
makes
That's what
you
gave
jump
them their
higher.
potency.
Exactly. That's why I was able to
Yeah.
glide across the basketball court, just on a a
on a
surf-
thin snail trail of
surface of Shaq's cum.
kids today just don't know the pleasure of a pump up sneaker full of cum.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Hello everyone.
Hi,
Hi.
everybody.
Welcome to the episode of Hypecast.
Hypecast.
It's the show where we get hyped about stuff and things. I almost said pumped. I'm your co-host, Tom Ryman.
I'm your other co-host, David Bell.
And who are you?
here.
Pleasantly plump, perfectly pumped. It's Michael Swaim.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hey guys.
Welcome.
So great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Man.
Yeah. Yeah,
You-
thanks for coming on.
Before we started rolling, we had a great conversation about the minutia of tax law. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of, honestly, it was helpful.
It's a
was,
shame,
but
it's
feel
a shame
better.
we weren't recording when we had that conversation. Because I would have just
Absolutely.
It's also-
released that as the episode. That's it. Just tax tips.
I'll submit that it's a steep ask for your guests to immediately pivot to, are you hyped now?
Yes.
Seconds
That is
later.
very true. That's very true.
But I
just
am.
think, like, okay, you know, like when you in school where you do a test and you fail and you're like, fuck, I failed. And then the teacher the
No,
next
I don't
day
know
is
what
like,
that's
so
like, Dave.
everybody failed and you feel better. That's what talking about taxes is like
Mm-hmm.
for me. Because I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm so fucked. And then I talk to other people and they're like, yeah, man, I'm fucked too. And it's like, oh, okay, so we're all just in
yeah,
this
we're all
hole.
just fucked
I see.
forever.
Yeah, and then I do feel better knowing that.
Tom, were you like me? Did you make it a point to never fail a test, thinking it would matter and make your life a success,
Yes.
and then realize that's all malarkey as
Yeah.
well?
Were you guys were you good
I
students?
was.
Yeah,
Well,
I've never failed a test.
I
ever.
wasn't a good student. I got good grades.
Well, okay, technically so did I because I went to a performance arts charter
Mm-hmm.
school. So you could literally
Oh.
be like, not read a book and then like write a poem and they'd be like, this is
All
amazing.
right, I'm gonna.
And they wouldn't
Yeah, let me
notice.
interrupt you. I went to an actual school.
Right, where you can do, like, you learn
Yeah,
math
where you
and
like learn
stuff.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was real
Yeah.
school. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't do
It
any
wasn't
of
like
that.
advanced or nothing, but it was
Yeah,
real.
it was real.
Unlike
It wasn't
yours.
whatever moon
Your whole situation.
moon base you went to.
Right.
Now,
No, that's fair.
Tom, what's that differentiation? What makes you not a good student and yet you got good grades? Was there more to it than getting good grades?
I mean, I didn't pay attention in class. I rarely did assignments. I mean, only when they needed to be turned in for a grade, and I never studied.
Yeah, so
I was also
grades.
disruptive, especially towards the end of high school. I was a real pain in the ass.
But you got them
I
good
did,
grades,
yeah.
so like you're technically a good student.
That's right. You navigated high school in such a way that you left with the paper and the good grades. I think you won.
I definitely won.
Yeah, you were a
I
good
was just
student.
admitting that I wasn't
Yeah.
a good student.
Okay.
It sounds like you were a bad teenager, but a good
I was an
student.
awesome teenager.
Okay.
I was
so
cool.
fucking cool, you guys.
Were we all cool? Michael,
No,
were
there's
you
no
cool?
way we were all cool. I was being facetious.
As
We're
a
all
tired
cool, Tom.
35-year-old, when I think back at myself at like 17 or 16, I don't think about it in terms of cool. I think of it as vibrant and alive and not racked with like body pain. I was like,
God, yeah. Remember when you
17?
could just-
Oh, I was resplendent at 17.
Right. Remember when you could just like roll down a sand dune and then the next day you'd be fine?
Oh, yeah.
Like where you could just
Yeah.
do whatever. Yeah.
No, junior and senior year, I was just doing like skate video jackass stuff. Like I would jump into lockers like holding a folding chair.
Yeah. I used to bet people to hit me in the face. Not even really bet. There was no wager. I would just tell them to hit me and then they'd hit me. And then I just get up the next day and not go to the hospital.
No, yeah, me and my friends
Yeah.
would pretend to get into fights in the lunchroom and like break trays and shit over each other's heads.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't do anything that bad. I just like eat a lot of carne asada fries and shit.
Oh man,
That's,
I wish.
that's also something.
That's a
yeah.
whole different dimension.
Yeah,
of
no,
it,
I mean,
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
I'm having having that bummer now actually where I'm learning this year like, oh, I can't really eat that anymore. Like that's going to hurt me for days. Yeah, that's a real bummer.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you're in that age bracket, the prime of life age bracket right now, please go do whatever.
Yeah,
it's the
do
only
drugs.
time you're going to be able to.
It's not going to get better.
No, there will be more consequences later.
Yeah.
It's as consequence-free as it can get with you still having some faculties. Although you are dumb as shit, but you have some faculties.
Counterpoint, I think we're cooler now.
No, inside. That's the paradox, Dave. Yes, your brain is better. Your body is shit, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but being a teenager is emotionally exhausting. And I am glad I'm not one anymore. It's an exchange, you know?
Yes, youth is wasted on the young is true. Like, there's no point in human existence where it all lines up correctly. You're either horny, but your emotions are stable, but you don't understand how anything works, or you understand how stuff works, but you're dead inside and tired and your body's shit. Like, it's never all right at any given time.
I will say there are nights where I'm sitting there watching The Firm not having sex and thinking like, how did I ever want to do anything else in my life? This is perfect.
Yeah, no one's not going to watch in The Firm.
Yeah, you got to embrace it is my point. I don't know. It varies person to person. I'm sure.
We should probably get into the actual show now.
This is the
true.
show
Yeah,
now.
it is kind of the show.
Bring in that Tomness.
All right, let's thank some producers, shall we?
Sure.
We got some new producers. Big thank you to these 7 B's. Solid.
That's a good one.
Tom, you know who that is?
And I remember the gag too. Yeah,
Oh, really?
it was when we were watching. I think it was when we were watching Wicker Man.
Oh, that makes sense.
The gag was the Sweet Dreams, but we were replacing dreams with bees. So it's I travel the world with these 7 bees.
7 B's.
It's not Sweet Dreams Are Made of Bees?
I mean, that was.
Okay.
Every time you say
Carried
dreams, you just say
through the
bees. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And anything that rhymes with dreams, you say bees. It's just like you just bombard it with bees. Yeah.
You just
Big thanks to Breezy Ruizy.
Beezy Ruizy.
Beezy.
Come on, it's right there. Beezy
Beezy.
Ruizy.
Beezy.
Oh, Ruiz. Ruiz, thank you so much. We love you. You're great. Thanks to Davey Francis for The Revenge.
Solid.
Solid, great movie. Thank you to MVB.
MVPs.
Oh, thank you so much. MVPs. Thank you to Phaedrus. Thank you very much. Thank you to Ryan, the silly money goose. Thank you to Chester's Prophet. Thank you to Definitely Not Guillermo del Toro.
We'll see about that.
Thank you to Brian, who Tom knows. Does Brian know Tom, or just does Tom know Brian? Okay. Thanks to Doc. Wear a mask, you fucks, Garby. Thanks to Bob Grenville. Thank you, Bob. Thank you to Steven. Thank you. Thank you to Down Home Chicken. Peacock.
All right, let me jump in here. Thank you to Han Toomey, the confused cyborg. Thank you to Asking Seven.
You.
Thank you to Hey
Thank you.
Fuck You, I'm Happy Ed. Thank you
Thank
to I
you.
Was Born to Stare. Thank you to Dragon the Bus Driver Vampire. Thank you to Tiger
Thank
Girls
you.
Pratt Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head. Not saying that this time.
Thank you.
Thank you to Chloe Rice. Thank you to Dan
Thank you.
Aykroyd. Thank you to the
Thank
Kool-Aid
you,
Man says the
Daniel.
only unity we need is the homogeneous mixture of flavor inside me. Viva la resistance.
Woo.
Thank you to E.T. the Extravagant Terresticle. Thank you to Cody
Thank
Johnson's
you.
Time Machine Noise. Thank you to Pete
you.
for Pagel. And thank you to Glitterous.
Glitterous. Bam.
Michael, we had this conversation last week. Is Clitter a musket sketch or was that cracked?
It's
muskets.
a muskets. I looked
Oh
it up.
yeah,
There's
that's
someone-
muskets. Glitter
I've
for
been
your
trying
clit.
to remember
Yeah.
Clitter
Yeah.
for the
That
last.
was back in the day.
That was back in the day.
Oh yeah.
That was our first hit. Like the first thing we ever did that got more than a dozen views, you know?
Nice.
It was-
Congratulations.
No, good work on Clitter.
Yeah.
Well, Clitter is fully a real thing. Like shortly after that,
Oh yeah. You
I'll
can
have
find
people know at that time it was not. And now it's like, I think it was only a matter of 3 years before it was like, oh, that's a real product. That's not a joke anymore.
it's-
That's fine.
We also talked about that last week.
I think I heard there was an episode recently where you did sing it, wasn't there, Tom? Were you saying Raindrops? I think you've sung
I've
it
sung
once,
it a couple of
and
times,
I've heard
it.
it.
Oh.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just-
it's like seeing the green flash at sunset.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes the breath
Oh
away.
man, thank you. No, I can't do it every week. It's got to be a surprise.
Right.
Some of
Yeah.
these,
Rest those pipes.
now that I get to see the doc, like Han Toomey spelled completely differently than I thought. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
there's a lot of things in my mind have to be shifted around now after this. This is the most thrilling segment, frankly, of the whole Hypecast. Thank
Yeah,
you,
The veil
you
has
have to
been
confront
lifted
your
for you,
prejudices
yeah.
about our list of producers.
Yeah.
Let's get to trailers.
Let's talk about, let's talk about a trailer. Let's talk about Voyagers. With sort of Colin Farrell just sprinkled in there.
Yeah, he's like a garnish throughout.
Yeah, this is about people going into space to get high.
Yeah.
and
Oh, is
party.
that okay? Have you done some reading about it, or did you get
No,
that from the
that's-
trailer?
That's just what I got from the trailer. What do you think?
That's a profound thought. What does he say? I liked that the trailer started and ended with the same clip. It reminded me of the Serious Man trailer, one of my favorite trailers ever.
Right.
But I couldn't tell if they were. So it's, I don't know. It's some kind of sci-fi malarkey where there's drugs, but I couldn't tell if they were being drugged against their will as some kind of government program of like behavioral modification, or if it was taking drugs intentionally for pleasure, or if it was one became the other, or what.
I don't know.
Looks like from the trailer it's being administered to them, but it's hard to say because the trailer is it grabs you, but it's kind of hard to parse what exactly the movie is about from it.
Here's my fear.
But it is punchy.
Yeah, it is punchy. It's from the writer-director of Limitless
Yep.
and The Illusionist.
Well, Well, I don't know The Illusionist.
It's fine.
The Divergent. That's what I was about to say. I think this, from the pattern I'm seeing, this movie will be fine. And that's okay. He's also writing the Bride of Frankenstein movie that's coming.
Sure.
Which I'm guessing will be fine.
It will probably be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That takes a lot of the... I mean, Limitless is aggressively fine.
It is one of the most okay
it's barely
films
fine.
I've ever seen. Yeah. It's like, this is okay.
Yeah. And so, I'm fine with that. I think there's some hype here for Lily Rose Depp. I've seen all the the articles about it highlight that she's in this.
Yeah. And I think there's
she is Johnny Depp's daughter.
Trippy imagery hype, right? If you're a burner or you like Gaspar Noé, Into the Void type stuff, maybe it won't be executed as well, or even 2001, the sequence. But it looks like they're going for that. So you're going to see some cool drug trips in the form of glowy light effects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's where I think this movie might be brilliant. Because I'm reading the synopsis. And the synopsis is: a crew of astronauts on a multi-generational mission descend into paranoia and madness, not knowing what is real or not. It's a very generic synopsis. The thing that sticks out is multi-generational mission, because it just occurred to me is whenever we talk about if we go to Mars, it's going to take generations.
Yes.
That means that there would be people born who didn't ask to be born on a trip to Mars who will become rebellious in their teenage years. And so the idea of a coming of age, dazed and confused story on a trip to Mars is, I don't know, appealing, if that's what this is.
It's legitimately interesting, but given not just the other movies that the dude has made, but also the line for line dialogue of the trailer, and I know it's going out on a limb to judge it based just on that, but the way the trailer's assembled and the fabrication of images, I do expect it to be punching around that weight class of fine to good / fine. And that's a super interesting idea that I would want it to be executed excellently. So it's kind of a shame, or I'm expecting a whiff. But, Upgrade was a movie that I felt very like this about, and then went in. And you never know when one of these will be surprisingly solid. So I'm hoping.
You never know when you never know when you're going to watch Saw and the guy opposite of Cary Elwes is going to fucking kill it as a director. That's really weird.
He also wrote Saw.
Upgrade is... okay. And then fucking The Invisible Man and whatever next he's going to do, which I can't fucking wait for.
I think we
my goodness.
know
Sorry,
what
I
it
know.
is.
There's 3 things here. He is credited for Upgrade the TV series, also Wolfman, but finally, and this is going to be controversial, Escape from New York. He's supposed to direct.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I will say, if anybody has to do one, gun to my head, it's sure, give it to that guy, I guess. Don't make it, but if you're gonna make it, fuck it.
Yeah. I was less into Invisible Man, so we'll see. Only 2 data points is not enough to judge by, so I'll wait for the 3rd.
I guess this is my case, is that Upgrade is a very stylized film, the visuals and the energy. And he knew not to do that in Invisible Man. And he made an appropriate film for both things. And that makes me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Gives me hope.
It just felt like a lesser exercise in the template of other horror films that are obviously we're in the midst of horror as message, is in a golden age right now. And I just think in that milieu with so many that have knocked my socks off, it probably would have fared better if it was ahead of its time, but it's firmly not ahead of its time. This is kind of what we're doing right now, is horror movies with progressive messages.
Absolutely.
So it was a good one, but I'm A good one of those. It felt like how I just watched I Care a Lot. Have you guys seen that yet?
No.
With Rosamund Pike. Very good, very solid, but I think in a post-Nightcrawler world, less impactful than in a pre-Nightcrawler world. There is something about getting there first. I don't know.
For sure. If you need another data point, by the way, this director did Insidious Chapter 3, which I do not remember being good. Also, I just want to point out that we're not talking about this trailer anymore or anybody associated with it, because it's sort of it does look intriguing, but I'm skeptical.
I'm intrigued but fairly skeptical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The little, like, I don't even know if it's about coming of age in space, right? That's just what I'm
right. All I can glean from this trailer,
sucking that
right?
marrow
Yeah,
out
all
of
I can glean from this trailer is that it's about a bunch of teens doing ecstasy and fucking in space.
Yeah,
in space. Slash that one Foo Fighters music video that just randomly cuts to stock footage of animals fighting all the time.
Right.
I also this is a stretch to interpret this based on what we see in the trailer, but I know it's a common thing in stories with generation ships that the roadblock is like no one can deal with the emotional consequences of being born and living your whole life in like cramped quarters on a submarine on a journey.
Yeah.
So, and there's oblique references into the trailer to like the drugs making you not feel. So I'm wondering if there's something like they drug all the kids to make them emotionally stable enough through their teenage years to not wreck the ship, and it somehow backfires and they become super emotional and they go crazy and they extra wreck the ship. Because, you know, they keep flashing to the teen like banging on his chest like a gorilla, and then it cuts to a lion taking down a gazelle, and then it cuts to a crowbar with blood on it. So I think it'll be like a spaceship riot, something like that.
That's the thing is like all right, maybe the trailer's just bad, but I love the subject of a generation that's literally existing to be thrown away, where they're like, yeah, you're going to get born and die on the space station.
The best would be if they're the middle generation. Their kids will reach the destination.
Exactly.
And their parents remembered Earth, but they're the middle. That's so cool.
They're literally the throwaway. Again, we're doing a lot of the trailer.
Yeah.
We don't know if any of this is what the movie's actually about.
But the title, Voyagers, plural, like it seems to be about that idea. And then you could use that to say a lot about, you know, our generation or other generations. There's a lot here that we're handing to the director of Limitless. So, yeah, I again, skeptical, but like great idea.
Yeah.
For a film. Yeah, should we talk any other thoughts on Voyagers?
No, we should probably move on.
It's always fun to see.
Colin Farrell is always fun to see.
He fully rules in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, fucking next thing. Without Remorse.
Sans remorse.
Yeah, that's probably what it's called in France.
This was the Michael B. Jordan one, right?
This is the Tom Clancy.
Yeah.
He's playing the Willem Dafoe character from Clear and Present Danger.
Are you kidding me?
Slash the Liev Schreiber character from the Sum of All Fears.
Oh, fuck me.
Yes.
Really? Oh, great fucking casting for that.
He's playing an established character.
All right. Is this controversial to say that Liev Schreiber's version is better
than Willem Dafoe's? No, because Clear and Present Danger is a very bad movie.
Okay. Yeah, because Liev Schreiber has that like creepiness that I think Michael B. Jordan kind of has in this. I'm so
the intensity
excited,
definitely.
Yes,
like they have a similar like intensity.
Yeah, like a scary intensity. Yes. Where it feels like they will kill you. I don't know, without remorse.
Sans remorse, whatever it was.
It feels very much like. We just had the John Krasinski one, and now it's like, what if Michael B. Jordan did a Tom Clancy? Like, if you like a Tom Clancy, it screams, this is a Tom Clancy.
I like a Tom Clancy.
We're hitting and they're doing...
Michael B. Jordan's certainly, like, up to the task. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. I also think we're done. We should probably get a new Jack Ryan up in here. Like it's 2 and you're done maximum. The seasons, movies,
That's
I don't
true.
care what.
Yeah, it's
2 and you're
been
done.
no more than 2.
Yeah, and then you're done, and then we restart it. We restart it every time.
I don't know what it means, but it is interesting that Tom Clancy is one of the most recast. You know what I mean? Like, not since Peter Pan are there like 8 actors. I guess James Bond,
yeah.
but
God,
it's so common to just switch out whoever is whatever generically named, like J name.
I think it's
Clancy protagonist.
I think it's because
I hope in 100 years from now. It's
go ahead.
Like Peter Pan.
Oh yeah, there's like
sorry.
Yeah.
No, I hope. Yeah, we're just doing Clancy like Peter Pan.
Like
what
Clancy's
were you
estate donates the character of Jack Ryan to an Irish orphanage.
Yeah, exactly.
What I was going to say is I think it's because they keep trying to make it into a franchise. Because Harrison Ford's Jack Ryan movies, that was an accident. Like, they just made Patriot Games, which was awesome, and everybody liked it. So like, well, fuck, let's do another one. And that one wasn't very good, so they didn't do any more after that.
So I stopped.
The problem is always the same.
Can you believe it? They did one, and it wasn't good, so they stopped. Sorry, that's just amazing to me in this day.
Yeah.
The problem is always the same. It's with Jack Ryan, he is permanently supposed to be new.
Or in over his, at the very least, in over his head.
Over his head. Yeah, and so it doesn't work after a while. And like season 2 of Jack Ryan can show that, where besides just like the weird political overtones that they did,
waging
war
on Venezuela or whatever it is.
Yeah, they refuse to not make it like conservative dad porn.
Well, Dave, who do you think? I was about to say, like, with this and the Jack Ryan show, and they just announced there's going to be a Ray Donovan movie to close out the storyline of Liev Schreiber's hit series Ray Donovan. We are in a golden age of dad entertainment.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, Jack Ryan. I'm sure I've said this on a Hypecast before. Season 2 Jack Ryan, it used to be that they would be like, who's terrorists now? And then they would do whoever's terrorists. The answer to that question now is white supremacists, and I would love to see a season of Jack Ryan where he's fucking up some
That would
Nazis.
be interesting, yeah.
That would be relevant. But it's the xenophobia where they're like, no, they can't be from the United States.
That's not
like
other shows can do that, but that's not their market
that's not Jack
share.
Ryan,
yeah
and that might be part of why, because the U.S. is the bad guy in Clear and Present Danger. So that might be part of why that movie didn't do so well. I mean, also it's a bad movie.
And in a way, they're interchangeable because the same reason Doctor Who's interchangeable. The main character is the sci-fi premise. I think the main character in all Tom Clancy things is America, right? Or it's just like the idea of whoever's gonna step up and save us and represent our ideals against. It's almost terrestrial Superman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
to a degree. In Clancy's credit, he doesn't. He's not like shy about pointing out the shitty things that the U.S. does. At least in his books. Sure. I don't know how often it makes it into the translations, but.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask. This came up earlier, but it's a fascinating question to me. If you had to pick one thing from today, what do you think will be like Beethoven or Shakespeare or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle? Like, what will still be remembered? That's a creative work, show or book or something or franchise in, let's say, 1,000 years.
And I can't answer Tom Clancy's.
Oh, you can.
Jack Ryan.
Sure. To be perfectly honest, I think it's probably going to be comic books.
I would say comic. I would say
the
either
MCU.
that. Oh, I would say that or Star Trek. Anything that's big and just keep.
Or Star Wars, maybe.
Like that's. I assume that's what those properties were at the time, right? They were just the most popular things.
At Shakespeare, at least,
and so, yeah. So I imagine just take whatever's popular now, and that's probably.
But not.
It won't be anything surprising.
Not to nitpick Michael's question, but it's not been 1,000 years since Shakespeare was alive.
That's true.
We don't know if Shakespeare or Beethoven are going to last 1,000 years.
Well, no, we know that because of Star
I should
Trek
have said
TNG.
300. That's fair.
Sure.
Well, according to TNG, culture stopped roughly around the
Roughly
time
around
of this recording.
1987. Culture stopped.
Although I love in TNG when they'll occasionally have a new culture, like they'll be like, this is Terralian love rhythms, and it's just a guy going like ding dong.
Well,
ding dong.
It's great. They do it in like actually I can't say they do it in every Star Trek series, but they probably do because it's like a bucket that a lot of these shows do. But definitely in TOS and TNG, they'll do like the comedy rule of 3. But the third, rather than being a joke, the third thing has to be a thing that doesn't exist. So they'll be like, it's like Beethoven and Shakespeare and Glurplock.
Yes, they love that shit.
Like they always
like
do that.
They'll
shit.
also do it. They'll do
like,
the opposite.
it's like your Nazi Germany or the reunification of the Irish nations in 2465.
Yeah, that's the Savage Curtain where Abraham Lincoln shows up.
I think they reverse that too, right? Like sometimes I think they'll do 2 made up things.
Yeah, they'll sprinkle it in there.
But yeah,
well, they're good writers.
Yes,
yeah, they are. It's true. He fucking jumps into a burning car, and I think
it is pretty
great.
dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but are you more threatened than having a gun to your head because the car's also on fire? Do you think that adds to, as the victim from the victim's POV, the threat level? Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's academic if a gun is pointed at your head.
To me, it's 2 different types of stress. It's like there's the stress of when like a door is left open where you're like, we really need to take care of that thing, and then there's a stress of gun to your head, which I mean, I'm not an old hand at that second stress, but the threat of physical harm. And so there's a feeling of like, oh man, we got to get out of here. Look, I know we're doing.
I would
a thing,
actually argue that it's almost threefold because it's the stress of we need to get out of this car, it's on fire. It's the stress of this guy is pointing a gun at me and asking me questions, and the third level of it is this guy set the car on fire and then came inside to point a gun at me. Yeah. He's crazy.
He doesn't care.
It's the question of wait, is he gonna also burn alive?
You're right.
Right, and it's the it's the realization, or at least it's the flex I'm sure he's going for. It's like, oh, this guy does not give a fuck. Yeah.
Although I do like the idea of him pointing the gun to the guy's head, asking him questions. The guy being like, "Sir, I don't think my answers matter. The doors are on fire," and like having to turn around and be like, "Oh shit," and like realizing that he just can't get out. And, yeah. Oh, I probably shouldn't have gotten in here.
That
now
seems
that
like a real mistake. I don't know why I did that.
We should let's get to the next thing.
Yeah, let's do that,
folks.
Let's move on.
And that thing is Thunder Force. I'm just
Thunder Force.
Thunder Force Go. It's what I thought it was based on the title.
Yeah, this is the superhero movie with Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer, who basically accidentally get superpowers, and then they have to do battle with Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah, I'm so sick of comedies.
It is the episode of Futurama with Clobber Girl and what's his name? You know, the one where they get a cream that gives them superpowers. I just think, or it's Superhero High or Sky High or whatever it's called. Yeah. It's interesting. We were just talking about like the timing of something because as Shakespeare coined, there is nothing new under the sun or what have you. Nothing's invented, but there is such a thing as like flooding the market or coming out at a time when we've just seen this before. And I don't think you can make a generic superhero movie when we have the MCU already. It feels so weirdly bereft.
It depends. I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. But then we've also seen shows, like The Boys is taking off, and that's not,
Well, I don't think it's premise. I think it's just type of comedy. Like this Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think we're done. I think we need to invent new comedy or like keep going. Because like, for example, this trailer begins with them singing Seal.
Singing Kiss from a Rose, yeah.
Kiss from a Rose.
Kiss
and
by
the joke is they're singing it, which if you remember is the same joke in, I believe, Vacation, where he's singing Seal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, that's a movie from like, I don't know, 20 years ago. When was the last Vacation?
Like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, so we're just doing that joke again. And the joke is just they're singing remember that song? They're singing it.
Sure.
Remember
Maybe it's just the comedic tropes and structures because there is like So maybe it's not even in a post MCU world, but in a post like Atlanta world, when there's shows, you know, there is comedy out there that's trying new shit. Mm-hmm. This is like 2008.
This is
the equivalent of a laugh track. It's the equivalent of a laugh track. It's the Judd Apatow where it's like, look, I think we're all set here. I don't think you can.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I don't think you can make any more of these comedies because they don't.
Well, yeah, that's the man, and it's a shame because this is a. There's an awesome cast in this. I fucking love the bit at the end with Jason Bateman with crab claws.
Sure. I was about to say they're both great. They're both amazing actresses.
Well, there's a thing. There's a thing with Melissa McCarthy's movies specifically, because she makes all. This is another one that she's making with her husband and essentially writing partner Ben Falcone.
Right.
And he's co-written and directed like the past, like all of her movies basically.
Right.
And they're all really fucking terrible.
Right.
And I think it's him.
Yeah. I think there's layers
it might
to
be
it.
him because she's great in things that aren't a Melissa McCarthy movie, if that makes sense.
You think she's the Mila Jovovich to his Paul W.S. Anderson?
She just can't say politely, get out of my shit.
Yeah, she just
don't meddle with the
can't
movie.
politely tell him that all of his instincts are wrong.
Right.
Honey, I love you, but your ideas are bad.
Your ideas are very bad.
Here's what I'll say, though, in regards to both her and Mila Jovovich and Adam Sandler, and I don't know, I'll throw in Kevin Smith. Mm-hmm. It's just like if you have a core base of fans and they're enjoying it, if you're enjoying making them, and they're not really like racist or like horribly offensive in any way, they're not like teaching something bad to the world, then ultimately more power to you.
Right, like the Medea movies making $1 billion or what have you. I was going to say this, even though I immediately didn't like care for it and I won't see it, I would not be shocked if someone said, you know, this is the exact kind of like broad 4-quadrant bland but fine comedy that makes $1 billion. I'd be like, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
That's it's just real quick to Michael's point. That's something I actually brought up in a crack video I did, 100,000 years ago when that was still existed. At least like through like The Boss and like a couple of her solo movies that she did with Ben Falcone right after Bridesmaids, they all broke $100 million. Like they were all successes. Yeah. They were all successful movies that got terrible reviews.
Whereas, what is the one where she's the disgraced plagiarist? I'm sorry, I messed up. Or
can you ever forgive
apologies. Me? Can you ever forgive me? Great movie. I don't know for sure, but I'm sure if I Google, he was not involved in that one.
I sincerely doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah. It really, like, to me, it comes down with if we find out some horrible abuses are happening making this movie or these movies, I'd be like, shut it down. Absolutely not worth it, But, like, as long as they're, I don't know, like, I want to learn about, like, I want to know about, like, their carbon footprint and shit like that. Okay, yeah. And it's just like, I just need.
Real quick, Can You Ever Forgive Me is Marielle Heller. She's like a legit director. Yeah. She made the Mr. Rogers movie and a bunch of documentaries and shit. Yeah.
I'm looking at the same page. Yep.
Mm-hmm. She's married to Yorma Taccone from Lonely Island.
Oh, nice.
Anyway,
low-key conspiracy theory. Melissa McCarthy's married to a mediocre dude who's ruining the bulk of her films.
Yeah. She's married to a dude who fucking sucks. It's terrible comedic sensibility.
I just don't, like, with comedy specifically, like, I get mad when sci-fi is mediocre. When comedy is mediocre, it's like, oh, God, like, I do get irritated, like, try better. But ultimately, I feel like if it's bringing people joy and not doing it by punching down or being mean, then it's whatever, fucking fine.
Right, it's like how we couldn't be mad at Hubie Halloween when we reviewed that.
It's hard to be mad at any joy-based thing. Yeah, it's exactly like, unless it's part of your identity because you're working your shit out. Like when I was 17 and lithe and sinewy, and I dreamed
I had aspirations and hopes.
I also was a shithead in the way that I thought alt humor or sophisticated, what I considered edgy humor, like I needed to brandish that and make sure people understood like the Big Bang Theory is bad and you're dumb if you like it. You shouldn't laugh at it because it's not constructed correctly or whatever. Now I'm like, whatever floats your boat, man. You know, I think it's just a part of growing up.
I think, I think what still frustrates me is when it feels like it's like when, for example, it's Westworld and they're like, think about that.
No,
it's like, I won't because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Or when it's fucking the Game of Thrones, the shot should be taught in film school, where it's like, no, wait. It's like when things are getting way too much credit.
Putting on airs is a different... Yeah,
exactly. When something's like mediocre and treats themselves like Joker,
or
where it's
like the Joker, or
man.
that fucking WandaVision line where it's like, but what is love if not what is grief if not love persevering? It's like, and people are like, oh shit, that's like that tweet where it was like screenwriters everywhere just said shit under their breath. I was like, really, for this motivational poster quote that. It's like, y'all need to watch some better shit.
Yeah, I'm never begrudging people their joy, but I also am not above walking into a room and going, all right, calm down.
All right, now. I mean, I like WandaVision and Marvel too, but like, let's pump the brakes. This is not Shakespeare.
That is a perfect segue to our next trailer because this is a movie that is fully built on an energy that makes me want to come into the room and go, all right, let's calm down. This isn't what you think it is. It's not as exciting or interesting as you think it is. Anyway.
There's an incredible moment in this trailer. Okay, the movie is called Funny Face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to... shit, now it's loading. But this is... Sorry, go on, Tom.
Okay, it's basically, it's the story of a guy who's like kind of a loner, kind of odd, wears a leering clown mask everywhere just because, for whatever reason. And his grandparents are getting bullied out of their house.
Yes.
And he's going to exact vengeance, I suppose.
All right. I found the review. It's from IndieWire, and it describes this as it reimagines if the Joker was a Knicks fan. And it's like, yeah, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's even giving it, or the idea that it has any difference. It is just the Joker.
It is just the Joker.
It was hard for me to understand what's different about it. The parents, by the way, Rhea Perlman and Dan Hedaya, both of whom I love. Yeah.
They're apparently only in one scene. I looked at this because I was looking at it for movies that deserve more hype. Then I concluded, nope.
There is a shot. Okay, there's a sequence in this trailer where they're like, somebody's talking about it's Rhea Perlman or Dan Hedaya, I think, is talking about like the horrors that people do for money, or maybe it's the main character. They're just like lamenting how awful it is that people will do anything for money, and then it cuts to a character driving in a car.
Yes.
Just screams money at the top of his lungs.
Know.
He's just like,
that
money!
is the ultimate moment.
It's so amazing.
It is like, you can't
money.
Yeah, how did you cut this together and not realize that shot makes your movie look stupid as fuck?
It seems like a spoof. It seems
like a gag. Like who?
Oh, it seems like you can't have characters say how they feel. That makes me feel angry.
Yeah. And just that,
money.
So this director, I don't know anything about these movies, but he did a movie called Dark Knight, which is inspired by the Dark Knight Rises shooter.
That's all we need.
So,
yep.
There's a trend
he's done too about these like loners.
There's a trend in video games right now, which is to imagine AAA next-gen games as if they existed on like the SNES or the PS1, like Cyberpunk on PS1.
Right.
This feels like a demake of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Like literally just if you made it with less of a budget, what would that be like? And unlike a comedy, it's easier for me to look down on it because whatever joy you're taking out of it is weird, sweaty loser joy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm 16 and this is deep.
I wrote this in the notes because of the character, like this performer, it really feels like the "I'm a Joker baby" meme.
The Joker baby.
I'm the Joker baby. Like the guy in the trailer kind of sounds like him, and I want him to say it in the movie. Yeah, I don't know about this director. I'm looking at. He's done a good amount of films. They've gotten mixed reviews. The one that's about the shooter in a theater. Oh man, sorry. I think I don't know about this, man. He's clearly obsessed with Batman, but it has a very poor audience score. It has an okay critic score.
You know who
which
will
means
probably last as long as like Sherlock Holmes is Batman and Joker. I bet Batman and Joker are around in 5,000 years.
I mean, I would argue because they're Sherlock and Moriarty, right? Like it's
basically
just this. It's the same. Yeah, I think that's why they're an updated version of those characters in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this movie looks ridiculous.
Yeah, funny face.
I'd watch it on movie night, Gamefully Unemployed movie night, and make fun of it. That seems fun.
Yeah, that's true.
The reviews are the reviews are not good.
Okay.
This is a movie that I would have said like, oh, maybe it could be good. And then the reviews, I'm just like, probably not. Like the part where the guy screams money, that could be bad trailer. You know what I mean? And not like bad movie.
I can't conceive of any good movie where that would exist.
Yeah. Also, just
what am I supposed to buy it with, smart guy? Money.
This movie looks insufferable.
Yeah, it looks like a real piece of shit. It looks like again, I'm 16 and this is deep.
Yeah. It looks like Joker.
Yeah.
I think it's about the same amount of irritating as Joker.
Yeah, maybe less because it costs less and will make less money back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. There's an indie quality where I'm like, good for them. They're an indie film, so, you know.
It's less of a sunk cost fallacy. Like, you guys just fucked around for 6 weeks in your neighborhood. That's not hurting anyone.
Right. Yeah, that's true. All right, let's talk about this next trailer for Calls.
Ooh, talking about saving that budget money.
Yeah, I don't think this is a movie or even a TV show.
No, it's just
Is it a podcast?
No.
I think it's a podcast.
It's a show. It's a show, quote unquote. They're basically making you watch a podcast. Why on earth they're not releasing this as a podcast, I don't know.
My guess is because Apple TV bought it, and then they're like, we didn't really like put it out as a podcast, so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like kinetic typography podcast show?
Yeah. It's a podcast.
It's
just
podcast.
a podcast.
Right, but you see the words pop up and they're lightly animated.
And you can see the sound waves, and like it's like apparently 9 different phone calls that are all connected somehow, and it's like it's horror suspense. I think Fede Alvarez is behind this. I think.
Yeah, audio is actually great for horror.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's weird there isn't enough like horror podcasts. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm just not tapped into the horror podcast world.
Dave, that's we need to tap into it. That's what you and I can do.
All right. We're scary guys. We can do it.
I've heard a few good creepy podcasts, but I forget all the names right now, so I'm useless.
Yeah. We'll be the first ever. There's been none. Yeah, we'll shake the thing to make it sound like lightning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you shake the thing, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the metal
what is
sheet?
That thing?
The sheet,
the aluminum sheet, yeah.
What is that thing? Where do you get one of those?
Just an aluminum sheet, man.
A wibble wobbler.
Sheet for lightning sound. I'm Googling it right now.
Okay, that's a useful.
That's, valuing the audience.
I'm actually like, I'm annoyed. I'm a little annoyed that like you have to watch this, but I'm into the idea of it.
That's it just needs to be a fucking.
Just make it a podcast.
Just make it a podcast.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's it. Just make it a podcast.
I also enjoy that Ben Schwartz can't really change his voice, so it's gonna sound like Sonic the Hedgehog is being broken and entered upon.
Yep.
So someone needs to take this and like animate it.
Sonic
right?
getting
With,
hammer
like,
killed.
Sonic. Yeah. They don't sell specific sheets of metal for this use. Thunder sheets is what they're called.
Okay.
You can.
How about we talk
You
about
say
the trailer?
that like a council of people decided that's what they're called, but
Wait, no, I found it. I found a thunder sheet. Oh no, this thing is like huge, and it's $300. Okay,
It's a big
Tom,
piece of
we
metal.
can't do this podcast anymore. I'm sorry.
I know it's too expensive to have thunder. If only there was some service
Another
that had
way, yeah.
sound effects.
horror podcast dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But calls, it does in some way feel like a natural extension of searching, or how people have been trying to capitalize on the obvious fact that we look at our phones all the time. And hey, maybe there's something there that's cheap to execute on.
It's still visual though.
Yeah, that's the thing is, searching feels like the natural progression of.
Yeah, I don't know
the
why I'm
internet
fighting
where-
for it. It should be a podcast.
No, I mean it is. Yeah, that's the thing. If there's nothing, the visuals are going to add. If it's just like an iTunes like visualizer, like screensaver set to, then you just make it a podcast. If there's like stuff like photos that come up, or like, like if they find a way to visually like make it interesting, then fine.
Or even
Otherwise-
clues, like if there was a ghost in the machine that started to appear in the
Yeah.
audio waves. I doubt that will happen, though.
It needs a reason to exist visually. And so if it has one of those reasons, then good. I don't know. Otherwise, yeah. I feel like Apple has the ability to get into the podcast world, you know?
would think, yeah.
Yeah. But I do like this. Like, I am pro this.
Yeah, I like the idea
by
of
the
the
end-
story.
By the end, it seemed like it might just be generic horror, or I'm not sure exactly what's quote-unquote going wrong in these people's lives, but it was interesting that at the beginning it seemed like it was going to be some kind of paranoid tech dystopia thing, like your phone's listening to you, which is weird that Apple would put that out.
Yeah.
Because they are doing that. Like, I believe this to be true.
That's like there's the Blacklist will have like contests, and I've actually gotten like messages because I wrote something that was about tech. I got messages of a contest that they're doing about like tech that's sponsored by like Google, and then you read the rules, and the rules say like no, like your plot can't be about how technology is bad, and it's like, well, then what's the point?
What do you think 90% of speculative science-based narrative is?
Right.
It's like, be scared of this. This could go wrong. What if this happens? That would be fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like going to be the most toothless fucking scripts about technology. Any more thoughts on calls?
No. Certainly
Can
not.
I say, like, I don't think the bad name. I think bad name.
That's what I mean, is it invites you to think calls. A horror thing called calls makes it seem like your phone is evil, and I just don't think that Apple, of all people, want to be putting that thought out in the ether.
Right.
That's true.
It's about calls, so like it just feels like it's like a movie called like Shapes, where it's just like the only thing is that there's shapes in it.
I'll tell you what would be
what
dope.
I mean? Like unless the plot is somehow about calling the phones.
What if it knows that you're watching it and it calls you in the middle and you pick up and like plays pre-recorded messages from the characters?
Would be neat.
That would be neat.
Then that would be cool. But yeah, for right now, this is like a book called Words. That it like, isn't it right? Like it's just
A little.
It's like they're calls, and it's like, okay, does that have Just seems like they didn't know what to name it. Is my point.
That's true.
Then again, I would say that about like the movie Jaws. Like that's Jaws.
It could have
It's
been
like-
called Shark. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
it could have been. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mouth.
Anyway, mouth. Let's talk about the best trailer here.
Good title, I think.
Senior moment.
In contrast, that's a perfectly workable title.
Yeah.
Senior moment?
Yeah, because the emotional core is obviously going to be William Shatner, and I like the meta-awareness of the idea that Shatner, we all know, is a pompous guy, right?
Yeah.
It's a very, to me, man, this shows how not 17 anymore I am. I'm like, of all the movies on the list, as dumb as this one is, I was like, that's a real human core experience that I appreciate them bouncing off of that you don't see all the time.
Yeah.
Of like a guy reaching a certain age where he just admits to himself, oh, I'm in the last phase now. Like, I'm old now.
Yeah.
Yeah. This trailer blew my fucking mind. I almost put it as more hype.
Yeah.
I almost put it as more hype because the moment Christopher Lloyd starts screeching into the movie, I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
it's a buddy comedy.
Christopher Lloyd
Christopher
dressed
Lloyd
like
and
a member of fucking Creedence.
Yeah. He's just like fucking like Hunter S. Thompson's uncle.
Doc and Kirk tooling around.
Hell yeah.
This shit is out of control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when was this made? Why wasn't I informed
I don't
about this
know.
movie until this trailer?
Basically, old ass William Shatner, who is in his 80s, gets his driver's license revoked, and he's trying to get it back, and he falls in love with Jean Smart along the way, but she's kind of sort of dating this younger dude, and it's a whole ass thing. It's interesting because you're right, Michael. This does the premise does play off of Shatner's persona of being this like pompous asshole, but it's interesting with the stuff that like the way Shatner behaves in like real life, but like in movies like this, he's completely willing to be self-deprecating. It's very strange.
Yeah. Tom, when you say in his 80s, I just have to correct you. He is 89.
Yep.
Wow.
And that is the craziest thing about William Shatner.
And
Right?
he does a
And
shot
he is-
in this where they shove his head into icy water for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not, I mean, it's not like the end of the world, but for an 89-year-old man, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This motherfucker like remembers Hitler's death. And he's just like
It's all he talks about.
He is
Honestly, I wish
crafty.
he'd shut up about it.
I don't know if is it that he's Canadian? Like, how is he aging? He is aging really well, surprisingly well for the fact that he's William Shatner.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure he's getting a lot of work done
For sure. Yeah.
but like, it's still like I don't know. That's wild.
Looks good. He looks spry.
Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah.
Somebody who's
Motherfucker's
fucking 90.
almost 90,
Yeah.
and he's making movies
Making
with Christopher Lloyd.
feature films.
Yeah. These old fucking bastards. I
just
can't wait.
These old motherfuckers.
But this looks it looks along the lines of one of the ones that will have some of that weird Shatner energy, which I just love. Like every 10 years Shatner will drop something like that album he did.
With
And
Ben
this
Folds.
feels
I
like
love
one
that
of
album.
those. Yeah. That album's great, and I honestly kind of think this movie will be great. Time will tell, but I have my hopes set as high as like a Hamlet 2, like a weird movie that you think back on fondly and go, God, that movie was funny and weird.
Yeah. Christopher Lloyd, by the way, 82. I bet they never filmed a scene after like 7.
No, of
They
course
were just
not.
like, we can't. Yeah, we have like 2 hours.
Yeah,
of
every
nighttime.
scene we see
every
in this
day.
trailer very conspicuously takes place in the middle of the day.
Between the hours of 1 p.m. and 4 p.m.
They're old. They're old
really
as shit.
old. They shouldn't be making movies, but
They're
I'm glad
so
they are.
fucking old.
I'm so glad they are.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't
obviously.
fucking wait to watch Senior Moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the midst of a national population shift where there's going to be a preponderance of seniors. So I think this will be a hallmark of culture for a little time now until death comes and claims a whole swath of people.
Right.
Is over the course of my life, like we used to be so youth obsessed, there were almost no movies about the experiences of older people. I have seen an uptick in that over the course of my life, and I
Well,
expect that to keep happening. That's like
I
a
can tell-
demographic now because of the boomers.
Well, it's also because the people making the movies or being in charge of stuff won't retire. And
That's
so they're
true.
just old.
Yeah.
Like this is a movie about an old guy refusing to like stop.
Yeah.
And it's like starring a 90-year-old and like look, I'm not saying old people shouldn't make movies or anything.
Get out of
I'm
the
just
way,
saying
Shatner.
it's such a fucking boomer plot. But you're right. Like there's nothing like movies about aging and stuff. Like that's good. That's a good thing.
I think. Well, do you remember when Nancy Meyers first did Something's Gotta Give, and everyone was like, a story about old people falling in love? What is going on?
Right.
And I just think there's more of a space for that now. And it's got to have something to do with the fact that we are demographically going through a period where the population's shifting that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Who's the love interest in this?
Gene Smart.
Gene Smart. Okay.
And who's the young guy he's jealous of? I recognized him as well.
Oh, I'm not sure. He did seem vaguely familiar, but they don't focus too much on him in the trailer.
Are you hoping for some real raw sex scenes, some Shatner and Smart sex scenes?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I better see it. I better see them fuck like demons.
Yeah. I still have to see The Good Liar.
Just
The Good Liar is
howling at each other.
Money!
The Good Liar seems like even more like progressive because I'm pretty sure in that movie, Ian McKellen's the honeypot, but I'm not certain. The Good Liar is about like old people, like it's like an old person thriller where they're like doing crimes on each other. And I need to watch that movie. It's a shame I haven't yet. So yeah, no, I'm reversing. I am pro old people movies.
Obviously,
we're glad to have
that's
you
the
on
only
board.
answer is to be on board for old people movies, and unless they're really racist.
Yeah,
which you run that risk with old people movies.
Look, asterisk that for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but you're right. Old people movies have a propensity for it.
Yes, and old people.
That's true.
Should we get into news stories?
I think we should bag on our progenitors some more.
Yeah.
No, let's do it.
Fuck those.
What else do we not like about old people? Let's make a list here.
The way they eat soup.
They remind me that I'll be old someday. I'm like, look at that. That's the future.
Did you guys know that the director of The Good Liar also directed the last two Twilight Saga movies and Dreamgirls and Candyman Farewell to the Flesh?
Yeah.
That's a career. That's what I want.
It's a career.
It is a career. It is specifically this person's career.
Let's talk about news stories,
please,
you guys. Okay. First, we got some patrons to thank. Thank you to Thanks for Having Jason Pargin on. Here's $25. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Midnight Patron with patrons at midnight.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you to Exploding Runes. Thank you very much. Thank you to Andrew. Andrew, how? Thank you.
Woo.
Thank you to Vincent. Vincent with a Y. Thank you to Rev MD. Thank you. Thank you to John Munez. Thank you, John. Thank you to Wavy Rancheros. Thank you.
Let me jump in here. Thank you to Dr. DNA. Thank you to Lauren Gucci.
Thank you
to James Rainey.
Yeah.
Thank you to Bootler Bootlesson. Thank you to Grumblebee.
Oh.
Thank you to Tux. Thank you to Shepard Mulch Diggums. Thank you to Norm from Cheers.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Let's dive into some news stories.
Yeah. Starting with sort of RIP Alamo Drafthouse.
Yeah, sort of.
I think they got bought.
Yeah.
Has anybody that is in this podcast right now gone to Alamo Drafthouse?
Nope.
No, although Kill Me Now screened at Alamo Draft Houses. We got a deal with them. They were one of the few chains that ran our Abe and Mai's movie in actual theaters, and we were very grateful for that.
Oh, that's cool.
They're like the McDonald's of indie theaters, right? Like they're the biggest well-known indie theater.
Yeah.
And that does make me sad. It does also mean like they were the last line of defense. So like I can't help but think about like the indie theater in my hometown that has been gone for 10 years, you know?
Lemley's? You got Lemley's still out there here and there?
No? Well, the indie theaters that I had was like they're just like single. They weren't a chain, you know? And it's just kind of sad, you know, because it does feel like Alamo represents that thing that's already happened and already has been happening. You know, it's like the same with the blockbusters and the Hollywood videos where it's like this was the last thing to go. So it marks the fact that it's like, yeah, the indie video stores, they've already been long dead. It's the same here, right? Like There's still a few indie theaters, but the pandemic has definitely murdered most of them.
Yeah, it's a sign of society moving on to a new technology. It's like when Tower Records shut down. You're like, yeah, because records are over.
Right. Right. And that's the thing is that, like, I don't know, because I think seeing movies in theaters is a thing we're still going to want to do.
Definitely.
It's just the pandemic made it,
I think you will see, if not Alamo Drafthouse, like it might just be dormant. I don't know the details of if it's still a brand owned by someone and still striving to make money, but I think there will still be a niche for independent theaters. Like you might see when quarantine lets up another brand come up and consolidate that market. Just like there are still record stores. It's just very, very few. Like the earth can only support so many.
Well, with both music and movies, I think the bummer is that the digital world accommodates indie stuff better. So indie theaters actually have less, in a way. Because if you have an indie film and you want it to be seen, how awesome is the internet?
Right.
You know, what a great fucking gift. I just love, going into like what seems like it could be a porn theater. Eating like organic.
Never really know. It's like a popcorn popper from the 1970s.
Exactly, or eating like some sort of organic bullshit popcorn where like they don't have butter. They just they're like, here's a yeast fountain. Yeah, put yeast on your popcorn.
Some fucked up
cookie
I love the in saran wrap with no label.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I love that experience. Yeah. Like where like the seats, like one of them's like a couch or something.
A single serving soda that's in like the tiniest cup.
Yeah. Where it's like there's no fountains; they just crack open a can and pour it in the cup. And it's kind of a shame. But you're right, Michael. Is that it's just progress. It's the same thing of like, well, when we switch to green energy, we're gonna have to say goodbye to certain jobs. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have to find a way to replace them. It's the same. We have to, it's streaming has made it so that we don't need as many theaters. I think just it's sad that probably the things that'll survive are the bigger theaters or like the single screen theaters. I want to see a resurgence of that.
We won't. There's no fucking way. Well, there's no way for a movie theater to stay open if it's not a multiplex.
You don't think so?
Because I don't think so.
I
doubt it. Yeah.
But isn't the issue now that like there's just going to be like one movie a month that people are going to want to see at the best, and so single screen is perfect for that. Where they're just like, all right, we're midnight showing Avengers Endgame. Where it's going to be like there's just the one movie you want to see. We got the one screen. I feel like that system could work because there's a need. I don't know. I guess we've had.
Do you
this
mean one screen
before,
like
though.
Ultra IMAX?
Yeah, I guess it would be, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. I guess that's what the multiplexes would do. They just show less movies on more screens.
Yes, because you get more showings in.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yep.
On bigger screens. Yeah, I don't think you'll have the humble because little independent one screen theaters, that screen is almost the size of the TV in my house at this point.
Exactly, it's true. I guess I just want a way for them to exist.
I want movie theaters to continue to exist too, but we'll see what happens.
They can do, I don't know, they can do ska shows. They should host ska shows from here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's enough ska in the world.
Get swinging udders in there.
You guys want to talk about Space Jam?
I guess.
Michael?
I want to talk about the depiction of animated titties, Dave, because it's important to me. They have to be big and luscious, Dave. They got to draw them that way. For my Johnson, for my boys, Dave.
I need all of my animated rabbits to have swole ass titties and a dump truck ass. Yeah.
There's two sides to this, right?
For sure.
Because I've seen people saying just like when they were like we're taking those away because we want to focus on I don't know how they said it, But it's just like, yeah, just having big boobs shouldn't mean anything either way. It's a physical trait that some people are born with, right? Like,
yeah.
And so, but at the same time, the people who are like pissed off because they can't jerk it to Lola Bunny, is,
that's what
unsettling.
I mean. Is recently I rewatched Space Jam for work after not having watched it since I was a child, and my big takeaway about Lola Bunny is, why do the animators want me to want to fuck this bunny?
Right.
Like, why is like the shots are like you had to draw that her underwear peek out from her shorts. Like, you had to choose to do that. And it's like, I don't understand why in the 90s this thing aimed at me when I was 12 wanted me to want to fuck this animated rabbit. I don't even get why it was that way the first time. So it's fine with me that we didn't make it all weirdly sexualized this time.
I guess what it is that they can keep, like, they don't have to change her physically to not sexualize her, right?
Correct.
Like, that's what it is that, like, yes, they shouldn't, like, it's weird that,
That's
like,
it's the shots.
some animator in the 90s was like, I'm gonna fuck kids up for generations. All right, let's just do this. By the way, Michael, are you talking about the time we watched Space Jam with Macaulay Culkin?
That's right. And it's not just the fact that she happens to have large breasts. You can tell through the way she is animated that she's supposed to be erotic or like eroticized. And it's just interesting because everyone online, of course, is comparing her to Jessica Rabbit, even though Jessica Rabbit is not a rabbit. But
also,
that
the point of Jessica Rabbit is, for better or for worse, is to be overly sexualized.
She's overly sexualized in a movie that I would argue creates a tonal world that is a lot broader. Looney Tunes was from a more raw sort of. Space Jam, even though it uses Looney Tunes, it really feels sanitized, and so Lola stands out to me as oddly sexualized.
Absolutely.
And also, I actually think if you look at her long enough and hard enough, the fact that she has gams, like she has meaty human legs, is weird, considering that Bugs Bunny's legs are just pipes. Like, it's actually kind of disturbing that she has humanoid musculature in her legs.
and she's quote unquote filmed as erotically as possible.
I guess that's what it is I think that was more of the problematic stuff, is like
the angles.
Yeah, and like it's just weird to change their physical attributes. It just feels like it's focusing on the wrong idea.
I think the legs are an improvement, personally.
Yeah.
I pushing back a little bit against that. Changing her physical appearance is wrong or focusing on the wrong thing, because I mean, yeah, obviously that's all types of body types exist, and different people are just have different bodies, and it's, whatever. But her specific physique was emblematic of a long tradition of doing this with like every female character in everything.
Yes, that is true. And if you're trying to promote just or normalize certain body types,
normalize
for
different
kids,
and give them more. It's one of the reasons why we have these fucking goblins that are railing against the idea of Lola Bunny not being stacked. Is because that's like all we fucking gave these kids, us included, growing up. Every woman in a comic, in an animated show, it's like they all just have gigantic tits and fucking huge asses. They all look the same.
It's really weird because they're just like, let's give them a lesson about friendship and also a boner. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know why that's happening in kids stuff.
Let's teach them about looking both ways before they cross the street and being rock hard while you do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking weird.
It's weird, yeah. And it's I think, obviously the first thing to do is to just not sexualize her, because it's like, I think they phrase it like, we changed her from being sexualized. We changed her from being over-sexualized to being strong. And it's like, those aren't like... Those are like mutually exclusive.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the thing. It's the way they're going about it.
Yeah, it's real dumb.
It's still from the male gaze because it's like the spectrum can only exist from this pole to this pole.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
it's
spectrum
it's a lateral
exists
move in a lot of ways.
as defined by the male gaze. Yeah.
But judging them just on rabbits alone, I think the original design just more meat if you're like a hawk or like a fox, and you're just trying to find a rabbit to eat.
Oh yeah, you'd be going if you were a hawk watching Space Jam. You'd be going buck wild.
They're doing a similar thing. They're remastering all the Mass Effect games, and if you remember those, they for some reason will try and get you hard at various moments as well. /wet, depending on your input-output situation. But
sure,
they are changing the camera angles to make that less gratuitous, and gamers are very upset about that. I do think it's an interesting. We're in an interesting phase where we know that progressiveness is a thing and a force that's having a moment, and we know that hypersexualizing certain groups in certain contexts is an exploitative or like is an expression of oppression. But we're just in that phase where you are lampshading it. Like the Golden Globes is a great example. They made a bunch of jokes about how undiverse it was. We're in that phase where we're admitting that everything is fucked up.
But we're still doing the thing.
But we're still doing the thing. Some people have moved beyond doing the thing, but they're really ahead of their time. The bulk of us are still just groggily like aware of the thing, but we haven't adjusted our behavior yet.
Yeah. And it really will depend on what this movie has to say too about the characters, right? Like, I don't know. What if they still like what if they wouldn't, but what if they still film this cartoon rabbit the same way they would in the original?
Dump truck ass angles.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or what if she's not of consequence to the plot? Or they, you know what? You know, it's. I don't know. I hate this conversation.
Or worse,
it's exhausting.
What if she's boring and flawless and supremely competent? Like that's how you sideline a female character in a comedy, man. You just make her the like competent one.
Yeah, just make her the parent.
Right, exactly.
We're rooting for you, Lola.
You know, I'm more offended personally. I mean, the thing that bothered me, I guess, looking at these stills is I hate the fucking CGI shit. Well, just draw them. Just make them drawn. Just make them like fucking.
Have you seen any shots from Tom and Jerry?
I know.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like if you don't spend the money to blend it correctly, like in Roger Rabbit, it looks fucking terrible.
It does, but the fucking Space Jam, they did it in space. This looks like Tron Legacy. Like it looks like the world they're in is like weird and CGI, as opposed to just take LeBron, put him on a green screen, have a bunch of assholes and green tarps.
I mean, they still did that.
Yeah, I know, but it just though from what I can tell, it doesn't feel like he's in like a weird Toon Land. I don't know. It's Space Jam sequel. Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? It's the sequel to a movie created by an underwear commercial.
Right.
Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
Like we need to stop being so precious about things.
Well, about Space Jam.
About Space Jam, for sure. About all the things that I don't think are cool.
Space Jam, I think, got people at the right time. For me, I don't think it's a good movie. I don't rewatch it. I don't have any like
same
nostalgia for it.
I was too old for it when it came out.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I was like, all right.
Well, yeah, all right.
It's not really for me.
The most exciting thing is, did I see Don Cheadle in
yes,
the
Don
stills?
Cheadle is in it.
That thrills me. I don't know why. I didn't know he was in it, and when I saw him, I was like,
I had no fucking idea
Don
until
Cheadle,
the pictures came out today. I was like, Don Cheadle's in this?
Yeah. That's fucking great.
Hell yeah.
Any more thoughts? Are we...
No.
Do we have to talk about this anymore until the trailer?
No,
that's
but
probably the last thought I'll ever have about the Space Jam remake.
Yeah.
That's true. I will say, just to all the people, anyone who might be listening, who was very upset over
Nope.
how Lola Bunny's quote unquote not sexy anymore. You can still masturbate to that new rabbit.
Yeah.
Like
you can masturbate to all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
Tom.
yeah. No, I mean, I'm just saying the bunny's still pretty sexy. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I don't know. It's
like seeing the side by side comparisons. It was like, can you believe they went from this hot bunny to this hot bunny?
This
I'm
hot
like,
bunny.
They're both hot bunnies. I don't see the problem.
Yeah. They're all movie star cartoon bunnies.
Right, exactly.
So. Yeah. No, this feels like, you know what it feels like to me is that it's like criticizing Biden, where there's things to criticize or there's like a minutia to like go through, and then you get like people you hate being like, yeah, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be on those people's side. Where it's like, I don't think they did this right, but the people who are like, I want my Lola Bunny, and it's just like, I don't want to be near you.
I don't want to associate with you, man.
I think your reasonings are different.
Yeah.
I think you just want to masturbate to the bunny, and that's you know what? That's fine too.
You still can.
Yeah, and that's not hurting anybody, right? I think.
Yeah, you can still masturbate to the old bunny.
Yeah,
Space Jam's not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm pro people drawing sexy animals and masturbating to them.
Yes, seriously, yeah, whatever.
It's just a different when that's served as the corporatized enshrinement of what normalcy is.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. Yeah.
Do you see that meme about like why furries exist, and then just like shots of so many like 90s animated animals that were drawn to be really fucking hot, and it's like, yeah, we were doing that.
We were.
It's a
we
full-on
were
thing for sure.
We did just want kids to fuck animals, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of my sexual awakening was 100% to Gadget from Rescue Rangers.
Oh, I was going to say Gadget. Yeah, for sure.
That's a hot mouse.
Drawn far hotter than there's any reason to.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? I think it's that art students learn how to draw a sensuous form, and it's like a pleasing line. You know what I mean? There's something nice about drawing a sensuous female body. And you're like, I know it's a kid's show, but I want to use my skills. I want to draw the female form.
Yeah, and it's pretty drilled in.
A generation of kids.
Exactly. We get 100 different body types for male characters that you're taught how to draw, and then there's really just the one for just the female characters. Anyway, we can move on from this cursed conversation.
God, yeah, let's fucking crawl out of this abyss. So let's name some more producers, shall we?
Let's do it.
Thank you to Space McNulty.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Hiram. Thank you, Hiram. Thank you to Oh Great, It's That Guy. Thank you. Thank you to Nolan Mayton. Thank you very much.
Woo.
Thank you to Normal Man, Andrew McGuire. Thank you. Thank you to Ozzy. Thank you very much. Thank you to AJ. Woo. Thank you. Thank you to Tip Drizzle. Thank you, Tip. Thank you to Frank Lee Amish. Thank you very much.
Woo. All right, let me jump in here. Thank you to Burrito Mouth. Thank you to Mrs. Voitis. Thank you to the Ghost of Dave Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you to Aaron Burser.
Yeah.
Thank you to David Knife Boot Hinson,
Knife Boot.
MBA CPA. Thank you to Christopher Robert Sparts, Esquire.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mackenzie Righteous Hand and the Lizard People. Chill.
Thank you.
Thank you to Funky J.
Thank you.
And thank you to Pie Guy.
Thank you.
Dave.
Thank you all. What?
Dave,
you want to talk about jerking off to animals?
Yes. Do you have
what?
A rabbit that deserves more sex?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just regular rabbits, too. You can jerk off to those.
Look to your left, look to your right. All the rabbits you see deserve more sex.
Yeah, they need it.
I want to talk about a movie called The Sadness. This is from, where is this from? Korea? No, Taiwan. This is a Taiwanese quote-unquote zombie film, although I would not call it that.
Nope.
I don't know when it's coming out. The worldwide rights have just been picked up. I think it'll be available soon. I really am not sure about the quality of this movie. I haven't found too much coverage of it that from that's in English.
Mm-hmm.
But it is basically a zombie film, but the virus makes you act on your most awful impulses.
Mm-hmm.
Basically makes us all the negative things in our head it makes that the only thing we can act off of. So the trailer, as you guys I'm surely watched, is fucking gory as shit.
It's very brutal, yeah.
It's brutal. It looks, I don't know.
I'm very
again.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no.
Well, I'm very intrigued by the hook in the sense that everyone has the waiting at standing on a subway platform and being like, it's crazy how one action could change my life completely, right? If I push this person, now I'm a murderer. My whole life is completely different. We all have that experience, or standing on the edge of the building, it makes you feel like you want to jump, etc. And the idea of a thing like a happening that makes you indulge that, I get it's very happening-esque. This looks like a different tone, but it is kind of the same premise. But I guess my concern is my worst, most evil, as it seems disturbingly mundane and pedantic, but my worst, most evil thought is I've seen what that movie is. That's the Serbian film. My worst, most evil thought is force yourself physically upon a baby until it dies, right? That's the worst. If you do the math, that's the worst thing you can do according to society. I don't want to see a movie that's a bunch of people doing that.
That's true.
Isn't it going to be I'll flamethrower a preschool? It's all going to be baby related, you see.
A lot of babies just being hucked left and right.
Yeah.
Just it's a 3D movie, so the babies are coming right at
maybe
you.
I lack imagination, but I feel I think most evil impulses all involve babies and or horrible sexual shit.
In a way, I think you have too much imagination, because my guess, there's a few things here. One, this is going through translation. So the articles that I found are according to this article, they say this, and then that article is, you have to be translated. But it does seem like that is the general idea. I'm also guessing for the sake of movie, they're toning it down, right? They're trying to depict what this is, like The Happening, where it's it's just,
that's
it
what
causes
I mean is
humans.
I'm hoping it's stuff like pushing people in front of a train and not truly the worst possible things you can think of.
I think it's more about impulse.
Yeah, the thing that stuck out too is them talking about how the villains aren't mindless like zombies, so they get to they can really think it out. Which I like the idea of a horde of just things that mean to hurt you that are also kind of creative about that. They're not just going to tear you apart. Yeah, I'm assuming they're going to. It wouldn't be fun otherwise, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna get creative, with what these worst impulses are.
I'm hoping that it's actually overwrought, like a Final Destination, where you're like, that was his impulse? That was so specific and elaborate. I think that would be more delightful.
I'm also, also, a lot of what gives me hope is just kind of the style of this trailer and how the movie looks. And I'm sort of have this faith that it's not just going to be Hostile. It's gonna even spiral even further out of control in some way. We don't really see the protagonists in this trailer. We don't really see what the plot's going to be.
Yeah.
But it is so bloody that I can't imagine. I actually would find this interesting, but I don't imagine it's going to be stuff like a CEO of a Fortune 500 company decides to liquidate all his funds selling arms to a group that he knows will oppress a whole country. You know what I mean? The most evil thing in your heart is going to be I'm going to saw the head off this guy who happens to be next to me. I would be interested in one where it's manipulating stocks or causing desperation in the third world or whatever. Literally what is actually evil. Like a real Cruella de Vil. Someone goes and adopts all the dogs and makes a coat. Something like that.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this will be mostly bludgeoning people to death.
Yeah, I've seen the other review I've seen is from a Taiwanese paper, and it starts with the reviewer saying, I don't like this genre. Saying I don't like this type of film, but then saying but this was good for that type of film, which was interesting. They talk about it being a social parody, which I don't know what that's going to mean. So there might be more layers to what they want to say in this. I have no freaking clue. I have a feeling it's going to be more surface level than what you're hoping. Like, I think it's just going to be more like, I'm going to attack you with this weapon, and we're going to have like a really gory, like, scene resulting in it.
Right. I think it's the level of evil of like a zombie that will, because we see that guy at the end stick his tongue through the mail slot, right? So I think it's just that level of intentionality. They're almost zombies, but they'll hang out around your house and systematically try to break through windows and stuff a zombie couldn't accomplish.
They do seem creepier. That's kind of what I like about this is like the weird like giggling. And
I
like
liked his performance of like, ha ha, I'll see you soon, ha ha.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
They're like very taunty.
Yeah.
Smug zombies that would be extra, and I would get the social parable because I'll tell you, Vonnegut said it, but it's so true. The problem with dumb bastards is they're too dumb to know how dumb they are. Like, man, I love... Nothing rankles me more than like just a dumb fuck who can't see reason, who specifically thinks that they're much, much smarter than you and is being really smug about it. So like zombies that taunted you but are objectively mindless, I think is a cool parable. Again, who knows where this thing could go in any direction at this point.
Yeah. From the review I'm looking at and all reviews, it seems like the key thing is, well, your typical zombies have their humanity removed. The problem with these zombies is that they're the worst of humanity. That's I don't know. Take from that what you will, but I don't know. That clearly must be portrayed in the film some way. For these reviewers to have picked up on it. I don't know. Check out. Everybody should just check out the trailer. Be warned, it's gory. The trailer's gory.
Yeah, it's called The Sadness.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking brutal ass trailer. Yeah.
I would say the trailer is a red band trailer.
Yeah.
You know, it's R-rated. I don't know. I'm super curious about it. I don't know when it will actually come out though, sadly. That's all I got.
Well, awesome. I think that's a sode then.
Is that a sode?
I think so. I think we've done it.
Tasty, bubbly sode.
A bubbly fucking sode for sure.
Oh man, now that we're all sufficiently pumped with tasty, bubbly sodes.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for doing the show.
Absolutely. You know, when it started, pump was a cum euphemism. By the end, it's a light carbonated thing that you guzzle. So I think
Still
we've been on a real journey today. Oh, okay, good. We just carbonated that bad boy.
Just
Good.
carbonated. Yeah,
just ran it through the old soda stream. Sure. I had a great time. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. What do you want to plug? What do you got going on?
Yeah, what do you want to say to the world?
Ooh, two things. We, you can find all our stuff over at patreon.com/smallbeans. But if I could do a little mini announcement corner, we're taking a page from the Gamefully Unemployed book and bringing back merch. We had merch, and we had that set up where we actually had to buy shirts and then mail out shirts, and it was too much of a pain, so we closed it. Now we're going to do TeePublic like you guys do. So Small Beans merch will be back, and we got a lot of cool bank designs for that. And then, this literally just came together right before the taping, but there is a joint Gamefully Unemployed Small Beans podcast in the works.
Yeah, there is.
A co-production, and that's all I'm going to say about it for now, but I'm sure if you listen to either network, you'll hear about that in the near future.
Absolutely. I guess I'll tell people about our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. If you go there, you can find exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder's A Maniac every Friday night. That is tonight. If you're listening to this on Friday, we watch movies with our patrons. There's some fun stuff there. Check it out.
Yeah, look into it. We also have a store, like Michael was saying, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed, where you can get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. I think we're probably due for some new designs. So
we should do sexy versions of ourselves. I mean, sexier.
I was gonna say, yeah. I don't know if we can be too much more sexy.
Our two stores should start feuding with, try to out-erotic each other with our designs. Just sexier and sexier versions of the hosts.
Absolutely. All right.
Back and
it
forth,
is on.
dueling shops.
Yeah, this means war.
Mm-hmm. Very sexy war.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, Corlew, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown, and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info.